Hello everybody, this is David at CasaTunes, and today we're going to learn how to configure CasaTunes and RTI using Integration Design 11 and the choral themed music player template. So before we dive into Integration Designer, I just want to go through the different integration steps that we need to go through in order to do a successful integration. So we start off by downloading the latest driver from the CasaTunes website. We then make sure that you have set up your CasaTunes system. This video is not going to go through the downloading or the setting up of your CasaTunes system. We just assume that you've done those two steps at this point. But then what we are going to show you is how we're going to use Integration Designer 11 using the Add Workspace item to add our rooms, add our controllers, and add the CasaTunes driver. We're then going to show you how we configure the CasaTunes driver properties. And for RTI dealers that are familiar with integrating CasaTunes prior to Integration Designer 11, these steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 are what you're already familiar with. It's the steps after step 4 that are new. In particular, we need to make sure that the RTI System Manager and the CasaTunes driver are in sync. And so how do we do that? Well, in the CasaTunes driver events page, we need to configure the power off event for each room. And in the RTI configuration page, we need to configure the CasaTunes zone and source that are selected for each CasaTunes activity in a room. And we have to configure the CasaTunes zone to select in the room selected event. And we're going to go through each of these so it'll become a little clearer what we're talking about. And then finally, if you are using the home page in the music player template, then you are going to need to manually configure this page for each controller using the CasaTunes macros and variables that you are probably also familiar with. And we also found that to provide a better customer experience, we recommend adding a room power and source indicator to the home page, and we'll show you how to do that. Okay. So where do I get the latest CasaTunes driver? Go to our website at www.casatunes.com, select support from the menu, then select downloads from the menu, and then scroll down and select the latest RTI Apex driver. The download is actually a zip file, and when you unzip this, the download is going to include the CasaTunes RTI driver that you're going to use, and it will also contain two documents that are extremely useful in this case. The first document describes how to integrate CasaTunes with the choral theme music player template, and that is what I'm going to show you in this video. And then there's a second document that explains how to integrate CasaTunes with the choral theme RTI music template, which then begs the question, which template should I use? And we recommend that you use the music player template. And the reasons for that is that A, it's much simpler to integrate, and 2, it provides, like 95% of the functionality of the RTI music template. So our recommendation is to stick with the music player template. Okay, and with that, we are now ready to start going through our tutorial here on how to integrate CasaTunes using Integration Designer 11. Okay, so this is the Integration Designer, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new system. I'm going to call this my demo system, and and so the first thing we do is we go into the Add Workspace, and what we're going to do is we start off by selecting our processor. I'm going to use an XP3 in this case, and then we got to set up our rooms. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the rooms. So my rooms are master bed, cabana, porch, wine room, master bathroom, office, and living room. So those are my 7 rooms that we're going to use. And then I'm going to select the controllers, and what I'm going to do for this project is I'm going to add a a virtual panel to my global project. And I'm going to use the Carl template, so that's good. And let's go ahead and add this guy. And then I'll go ahead and add the RTI iPad as well. And I should have really renamed that last one. I'll call this one the home iPad. We'll go ahead and add that device. And then we got to add the CasaTunes driver. So this is the downloaded driver, and I've downloaded it. This is 4.23, but it's actually 4.24. That's getting corrected by the time you see this video. And what I want to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add my 2 players. So my first player, and I'm going to add these to the global space. So the first player is actually called David player. Go ahead and add that. And then I'll add the second player, and it's going to be Jody player. And then we just got to add our zones. So I'm going to go ahead and add in zone 1 is going to be in the master bedroom. And we'll just go ahead and call it master bedroom. And then we'll add zone 2 to the cabana. And we'll add porch. And see here that we have the set as room audio source checked because we are using the multi-room audio for the audio in that room. So we'll go ahead and set that as it. And then we'll select wine room as zone 4. And then master bedroom or master bathroom. And we'll set the office. And we'll set the living room as zone 7. And actually, I'm going to come back to the controllers here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a virtual panel in the office. So we'll call this the Office VP. And I'll go ahead and add an iPad to the office as well. Okay, so that's all we have to do because we're just doing multi-room audio in this case. So that's the only rooms, controllers, and the driver that I need to add. And so you can see everything set up over here. Now what we need to do is go ahead and configure the properties for the CasaTunes control driver. So in my case, this is going to be 192.168.1.90. And it is a system. And really don't care about any of that. Number of wired rooms, I'm going to set this as 7. Number of airplay rooms is going to be 0. And right now I don't have any room groups, so that's going to be 0 as well. So let's go ahead and put in our room names. Now it's very important that we match the names with the actual names that are configured in CasaTunes. So I've been very consistent. I've named everything in the order that they are on my matrix. So again, this is the master bedroom is our first one. Our cabana is our second one. Our porch is our third one. The wine room Okay, so now we've configured all our rooms that we have. The next thing to do is configure our sources. So we only have 2 sources. And again, very important that we name them exactly as they are in CasaTunes. So this is David player, and this is Jody player. Okay, and that is all the driver properties that we need to configure. There's other ones that you can configure if you are inclined. So now the only other thing I want to do is I'm going to go set the weather because um, I just need to set my location over here. Otherwise, that won't show up in the controller homepage, which we'll talk about later. Okay, now that we have finished steps 1 through 4 in our integration steps that we outlined at the beginning of this presentation, what we need to do next is we need to go ahead and set the power off events, configure the power off events in the CasaTunes driver. So the way to do that is we select the CasaTunes driver in the left-hand side panel. And then we select driver events, and here you'll see all the driver events that CasaTunes raises. And what we need to do is, for all the power off events, we need to inform the system manager that the room is being turned off. So let's just go through each of these. So for the master event, we're going to go ahead and select the room off, and oops, and we'll say that that's the master bedroom turning off. Then we pick the cabana, we select that one, the porch, okay. So that's one thing that we need to do in order to synchronize with the system manager. The next thing we need to do is, for each room and for each activity, for each CasaTunes activity. So we have the two David player and Jody player activities here. So for each activity, let me just scroll this up a little bit. So you'll see when that activity is selected, here's all the events. And what we need to do is, there's 3 things we need to do here. We need to configure the audio on, the activity ready, and the audio off. And we have to do that for each activity within a room, and then we have to do that for each room. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the first 2, and then I will complete the rest of them, and then we'll pick this presentation back up. So for the audio on, what we need to do is we need to expand our CasaTunes control driver. And what we want to do here is we want to, when the audio is turned on in a room, we want to make sure that that CasaTunes has turned on that room. So we go over here to, let's see, select, I think it's universal zone controls. And what we want to do is we want to select the power on for the zone. And so we want to power on, we're in the master bedroom and in the David player activity, and so we're going to power on the master bedroom, and we're also going to, so we're powering on the master bedroom, and then we have a corresponding audio off activity. So I'll just go ahead and select the audio off, and here we're going to go ahead and power off the zone. And again, it's going to be the master bedroom, so that's okay. Then in the activity ready, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we set the master bedroom, which is the current room, as the current selected zone, and we have to set David's player as the current selected source. So the way we do that is we go over here to change selected room, and we grab this and we say that the selected room now, or the current room, is going to be the master bedroom. And then we want to change the selected source, so we're going to select the source by stream name, and so we're going to set this as David's player. So when the system manager turns the audio on in the room, we're going to make sure that CasaTunes powers on the room. When it shuts the power off in the room, it's going to make sure that the driver is going to make sure that we power off the room. And then when we're ready, when it switches to this room and this activity, we're going to make the current room be the master bedroom and the current stream be David's player. And we have to repeat this for all the CasaTunes activities. So in this case, we only have one more, so it's Jody's player. Now the nice thing is we don't have to set up the audio on and audio off again for this room, but we do need to go ahead and set up the activity for Jody's player. So again, what we want to do is we want to select this room as the current room, and we want to select the stream, and except instead of David's player, it's going to be Jody's player. Okay, so that that's how we set this up. We also have to set up the room events, but we'll come back to that after we configure all the activities for all the rooms. But you can do that at any point. If you wanted to do it now, you could do it now and not wait. Okay, so I'm going to do one more room just to go through this, just so that you guys understand, and then I'm going to do the rest of them myself, and we'll come back to the next step. So let's go to the cabana now, and again we're going to go to the activities, and we're going to select David's player again, and now we've got to turn the we have to turn on the room when we get rid of this. We have to turn on the room, so we're going to power on this room, except now it's not the master bedroom, we're in the cabana, so we're going to power on the cabana. And let's go ahead and do the other one where we're going to power off the cabana. And then let's go into the activity ready, and here we want to set the current room, and again here we're going to change this to the cabana, and we want to select the current stream, and we're going to select that stream, and this one we're on David's player, so that's the correct stream there. And now we're going to configure the next activity in this room, next CasaTunes activity, and again the audio on and the audio off are already set up, so all we got to do is set up the activity. So here we're going to select the current room, and it's going to be the cabana, and we need to select the current stream, which in this case is Jody's player. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat that for the porch, wine room, master bedroom, office, and living room, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now that we've completed setting up all the activities for all the rooms, all the CasaTunes activities for all the rooms, the next step is to configure the selected room event that the system manager uses to tell us when it has selected a room. So for example, if I select the master bedroom here and I go to the room events and I select the room selected event, what we need to do here is we need to basically set the current room to be this room, which in this case is master bedroom. So let's go ahead and just select the specific room, and we select it to master bedroom, and then we have to do that for each room. So let's go to the cabana, we go to room events again, select the room selected, and then we copy this over and we set it for the cabana. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead once again and do this for the rest of the room, and we'll pick up the next step after this. Okay, we're finally getting to the home stretch here. What we've got to do now, the next step, is that we have to manually program the home page if you're going to use the home page. So what do we mean by that? Okay, so if we go to our controllers over here and we go to the home virtual panel, if I go to one of the activity pages, like I go to my music player, the browse page, you'll see that everything is tagged automatically, which is great. I mean, that's kind of what we expect. However, if we go to the home page, you'll notice that the Now Playing panel is not automatically tagged. And so what we have to do now is we have to go ahead and program this. So let's go ahead then and we'll go ahead and set up this panel. It's not that hard. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to make the now playing panel editable. So we do that by unlocking it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the CasaTunes functions or macros as well as the variables to set all this information up. And we're going to set this information up for the currently selected source. So let's go ahead and pick the cover art, and what we're going to do is we're going to program the variable that we're going to use for the cover art. So we select this image variable over here, and for the selected source player we'll select the cover art. So that now sets that up. Now we have to set up the metadata, so we'll go ahead and pick the first line of metadata, and again we're going to go ahead and select that metadata from the CasaTunes control, and we want to do it for the for this selected source, the selected source or player, and the first line is actually meta line 0, so we'll go ahead and pick that, and then we'll just go ahead and do the same thing for the other lines, and we'll go ahead and pick metadata line 1, and for the last one we'll go ahead and pick metadata line 2. Okay, so at this point we've tagged our cover art and our metadata. Now we've got to set up our progress bar. Now this progress bar has dual functionalities. It shows currently where you are in a song, and then sometimes it allows you to position within the song. So we actually have both functions and variables that we need to set up. So the macro that we need to set up is we want it for the current source, for the currently selected source, we want to be able to position within the song. So we'll go ahead and select that function. And then on the variable side, we've got a couple of things that we've got to do. First of all, we've got to select the value. Okay, so we're going to get the progress for the selected source. So we'll go ahead and select that. And then the other thing is sometimes songs don't provide durations, and we don't know where we are within the song. So in that case, it's not visible. So there is a visible option, and for the selected source player, we want to show when progress is visible, or show progress indicator. Okay. All right. So now we set up the progress bar, and now what we want to do is we would need to set up these transport controls. So again, we select this is the previous track, and there's a macro for that. So we're going to go to the previous track, and there's also a visibility for that. So we're going to set the visibility variable, and there's a visibility called show previous button. Select that, and now we're going to select the fast rewind, and there is no macro within CasaTunes to do a fast rewind. We only support going to the previous track, but there is a visibility variable, so we'll go ahead and set that, and there's a show fast rewind somewhere. There it is. So we select that. Now on the pause button, this is a little bit different because we also want to show that whether we are in the pause state or the playing state. So in this case, there's a macro to pause the current song. But in addition, we have to set up two variables. One is a visible variable, whether to even show the pause button. And then the second thing is when we're in that pause state, we want to reverse we want to reverse the image. So we'll go ahead and select. So when we're in the pause state, we're going to reverse the background. So we're going to show that, and we're going to do the same thing for the play and stop. So we're going to go ahead and set the macro to play, and then we are going to set the visibility, and there's a show play button here somewhere, and the reverse. So the reverse is whether when we're in the playing state, we want to reverse, and we want to do the same thing for the stop. So our macro to stop, and then the variables as far as visibility. So we're going to show stop button, and we're going to reverse it when CasaTunes is stopped, or when the stream stopped. Okay, and again, the fast forward, that's not a macro that we have, but there is a visibility bit. So we'll go ahead and select the visibility bit, and that's show fast forward. Okay, and then finally we've got the skip to next song. So we've got the next, and we have a visibility bit for that as well. So show next button. Okay, so you can see that we can quickly, it's a bit of a hassle having to do it, but it's not that complicated, but you do have to do this on a per controller basis, which is kind of a pain. Okay, so now that we've set up the virtual panel and we set up the home page and everything, why don't we go ahead and take it for a spin and see what we get. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to the communications, and we're going to send to device. And finally, let's update our home virtual panel. And let's go ahead and open it. Everything gets loaded up here, hopefully, shortly. Okay. And so now we can go ahead and we've got our different activities over here. So we've got David's player, we've got Jody's player, and we can go ahead and switch rooms, or we can turn all the rooms off. So we can turn off the audio in the whole house. And yeah, so that works. One thing I do want to say though is you'll see over here that there are no images in this list, and that is an issue with the virtual panel. If you're on an iPad, you are going to get like, for example, for Spotify and Napster and all these, there is an image on the left of this plus the text. But in the virtual panel, you don't get that. So it's much nicer on the iPad itself. But okay. So one thing to notice here is that when I'm playing music in the office, this is all great. But then if I change, to another room, for example, um, it'll show the metadata that's playing, but it doesn't tell me whether this room, the porch, is on or off. And I already know that this is the David's player because I was in the office and it was playing David's player, and this is what was playing. However, it would be nice to have some indications as to, is this room currently on, and what is the player that we're using. So we're going to go ahead and add that now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And let's go ahead and close that. Okay, and so to do this is really quite simple. All I got to do is I'm just going to create a text button. So let's go into the edit mode, and let's just go ahead and draw a button here. And let's go ahead and set the text for that button. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to right justify it. And what I want to do is I want to say the name of the room, and it's either going to be on or off. So the way we do that is we go ahead and select the variables from the CasaTunes control. And it's the selected zone that is currently selected. So we're going to get the text name. So that's going to say, master bedroom or whatever. And then I want to say is on or off. And to do that, I go into the CasaTunes control and the selected zone, and we do power on. Okay, now this actually would say master bedroom is true or master bedroom is false, which is not really what we want. So let's go ahead and change the text that's displayed for the true and false, and we're going to say that that's on or off. Okay, and then the other thing we wanted to do was display which source is currently in use in this room. So again, we'll go to the CasaTunes control and select the selected source player text name. Okay, and now we just got to make sure that it's big enough. And we'll just position that kind of out the way. Okay, and so now let's go ahead and download that again. And we'll go ahead and update our whole bit virtual panel. Okay, and you can see here that the porch is off, but we have selected David's player. So anyway, so that is an overview of how to integrate CasaTunes with Integration Designer 11, the choral themes, and the music player template. I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at david@casatunes.com or at support@casatunes.com. I appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you soon.